You won't believe what just happened to gospel artist Betty Bayo, the ex-wife of Pastor Kanyari and the voice behind the powerful hit 11th Hour. Moments ago, shocking reports have confirmed that she has passed away while receiving treatment at Kenyatta National Hospital.
Iskizeni. Oi, guy. Nani atanielewa ya kwamba I'm feeling pain.
But wait, what happened in her final hours has left the entire nation in tears. Friends are breaking down, fans are flooding social media, and what her family has just revealed is going to send chills down your spine. But that is not all. Wait until you hear who was by her side in those heartbreaking final moments, because this story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. This morning, Kenya woke up to the devastating news that has been spreading like wildfire across every social media platform. Beatrice Wairimu Mbugua, known to millions as Betty Bayo, had passed away after a battle that most of her fans didn't even know was happening. Bishop Mude King was one of the first to break the news to a shocked nation, confirming what many people couldn't believe. Betty Bayo had been fighting an advanced stage of leukemia, a blood cancer that had been silently attacking her body. Think about that for a moment. While we were singing along to her songs, while we were inspired by her messages of hope and perseverance, she was fighting the battle of her life in silence. Betty Bayo lost her life on Monday, November 10th, after a lengthy battle with cancer. She passed away while receiving treatment at Kenyata National Hospital. But here is what makes this even more tragic. Betty Bayo was only in her early 40s, a mother of two, a woman who had just found happiness again after years of struggle, and a voice that had touched millions of lives across Kenya and beyond. Living a life of praising God and business, the mother of two has been a jovial artist until lately when she was diagnosed with blood cancer at an advanced stage. The keyword here, until lately. This wasn't a long public battle. This was a sudden devastating diagnosis that came at what should have been the prime of her life and career. But wait until you hear how she got to this point, because Betty Bayo's story isn't just about her death. It is about one of the most incredible comeback stories in the Kenyan entertainment history. Let me take you back to where it all began, because Betty Bayo's origin and story is something straight out of a movie. Picture this, a young girl from Banana, Kiambu, growing up in poverty so extreme that she couldn't even finish her secondary education. At just 16 years of age, while her classmates were worrying about exams and teenage drama, Betty Bayo was forced to drop out of Form 2 because her parents couldn't afford her school fees. But here is where the story gets even more incredible. Instead of giving up, Betty Bayo did what she had to do to survive. She became a house help in Kiambu town, working grilling hours, doing manual jobs just to eat and maybe, just maybe to save enough money to go back to school one day. And you want to know how much she was earning? 70 shillings per day for all the house chores, and that is less than $1 for an entire day. After a year of that exploitation, Betty decided that she deserved better. She went mobile, offering her services to anyone who needed a house help, charging 100 shillings per day, still poverty wages, but it was something better. Now, here is what people don't know about this period of Betty Bayo's life, and it is going to blow your mind. While she was scrubbing floors and washing dishes for survival, while she was being paid less than $1 a day, there was something burning inside her that no amount of poverty could extinguish: music. Her mother, Joyce Mbugua, encouraged her to do music and made sure she joined the church and school choirs. Even in the darkest moments, even when she was exhausted from a day's work, Betty Bayo would find herself singing. She joined the Redeemed Gospel Choir, where she sang for fun. She became a leader of a dance group called Ambassadors of Christ. But here is the thing, becoming a musician was the last thing on her mind. She always dreamt of being a designer. After an overwhelming ministry session with her pastor Gachara, Betty made a decision that would alter the course of her entire life. She decided to dedicate her career to God. She saw a vision and a calling she couldn't ignore. But there was one massive problem. She had no money to record her music. So what did she do? She made fundraising cards, went door to door in her neighborhood, asking friends and strangers alike to help her chase this impossible dream. Can you imagine that level of courage? A former house help asking people to fund her music career, and here is the part that almost ended her dream before it even started. One producer, John Nyika of Big Time Studio, actually laughed when she shared with him her intention to record, and let that sink in. A professional in the industry looked at this young woman with big dreams and limited resources and laughed in her face. Now, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, because you can't tell Betty Bayo's story without addressing what happened with Pastor Kanyari. Betty and Kanyari got married in 2012, and for a brief moment, they seemed like a perfect couple, a rising gospel star and a charismatic pastor. They had 2 beautiful children together, and from the outside, everything looked blessed. But then November 2014 happened. An investigative journalist, Muhammad Ali and John Allan Namu, released an exposé that shook Kenya to its core. The story: Pastor Kanyari had been performing fake miracles and scamming his congregants out of millions of shillings. The infamous 310 seed scandal, where Kanyari would instruct people to send him exactly 310 shillings via mobile money, promising the miracles in return. Behind the scenes, the entire thing was a con game. The potassium permanganate incident, where substances were used to create fake healing demonstrations, became national news, and Betty Bayo, his wife, suddenly found herself under the intense public scrutiny. Imagine being at that height of your career, finally achieving the success you'd worked for hard, and then having your husband exposed as a fraud on national television. The questions came flooding in. Did she know? Was she involved? Was her entire gospel career built on a lie? She distanced herself from the rumors, claiming she was not involved in the schemes of her ex-husband. She didn't make excuses. She didn't try to defend the indefensible. She acknowledged what had happened, made it clear that she had no part in the deception, and then she made the hard decision of her life. She left. Betty and Kanyari separated shortly after the scandal broke. She took her 2 children and walked away from the marriage, choosing her integrity and her children's future over the comfort of staying in a broken relationship. The public scrutiny didn't stop. Single motherhood brought its own challenges, rebuilding her career while dealing with the stigma of being associated with one of the Kenya's most notorious fake pastors was an uphill battle that would have broken most people. Now, moving on, this is the part of Betty Bayo's story that most people didn't know until it was too late. While she was posting happy photos with her husband, while she was performing at events, while she was running her businesses and raising her children, while she was inspiring millions with her music and her testimony, Betty Bayo was fighting a silent, deadly battle. She was diagnosed with blood cancer, leukemia, at an advanced stage. Leukemia is a cancer of the blood and bone marrow, and when it's caught at an advanced stage, the prognosis is often grim. The treatment is brutal: chemotherapy, blood transfusion, constant hospital visits, exhaustion, pain, and the psychological weight of knowing you're fighting for your life. And Betty did all this while maintaining her public persona, while continuing to be a mother, a wife, and a singer, and a source of inspiration to others. Think about the strength that she required. Think about the days that she must have felt weak to even get out of bed, but she had children depending on her. Think about the performances she must have done while her body was being ravaged by cancer and chemotherapy. Think about the smile she maintained for her fans while internally battling fear and pain. Why didn't she go public with the diagnosis? We may never know for certain. Perhaps she wanted to protect her children from worry. Perhaps she didn't want to be defined by her illness. Perhaps she was holding on to hope that she would beat it and could share her victory story later. What we do know is that Betty Bayo passed away while receiving treatment at Kenyata National Hospital, surrounded by medical staff fighting to save her life. The news of her death has left very many people devastated, wondering what might have happened to the bubbly musician. Bishop Mude King's tribute perfectly captured what Kenya has lost. But here is what makes her passing even more tragic. Betty Bayo was in her prime. She had finally found happiness after years of struggle. She had rebuilt her life, her career, and her reputation. transformation. She had proven every doubter wrong. She had shown that it is possible to fall and rise again, to be knocked down and come back stronger. Betty Bayo has rested after serving. She leaves behind 2 children, a husband who loved her deeply, an ex-husband with whom she maintained a respectful co-parenting relationship, and a mother who encountered her musical dreams, siblings who supported her journey, and millions of fans whose lives she touched with her music and her testimony. The hymns she created are a true indicator of how individuals should be keen in their personal lives to avoid regrets. Her music will continue to minister to people for generations to come. And Bishop Kanyari, closing words in his tribute, carry a hope that everybody fighting cancer need to hear. Rest in peace, Betty Bayo. Cancer will also die one day. If this story touched you, if Betty Bayo's journey inspired you, if you've been blessed by her music, drop a comment below sharing your favorite Betty Bayo song and how her testimony impacted your life. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell because we'll be following up with more on Betty Bayo's memorial service and the outpouring of love from fans around the world. And remember, no matter what you're going through right now, no matter how dark your situation seems, your 11th hour miracle could be just around the corner. Rest in peace, Betty Bayo. Your voice may be silent, but your message will echo forever. Thank you for watching.